studying environmental science with a concentration in geography. I grew up in Southwest Philly. We had a program at Cobbs Creek Environmental Education Center, so that's kind of how I started to learn about environmental science. I was always kind of deep into the science, and then I started to get into the activism. If we just look at what is needed for life, water is more than essential. Like, water is life. And a lot of times in Pennsylvania, we have farms, and some of that pollution does get down into the creek. I personally think that one of the larger issues could be oil trains, because oil trains have the potential to not only pollute the stream, but to catastrophically destroy communities around that stream. And since streams are so important for these small communities, it's a big deal because so much of our drinking water comes from the rivers and creeks. Crude oil from North Dakota and different places where we're fracking heavily are getting put onto tanker cars. We're putting them on trains. We gotta send them to different cities like Philadelphia to get refined, because this is some of the dirtiest oil. These oil trains are going right next to rivers, they're going right next to creeks, they're going into densely populated neighborhoods, a lot of the times environmental justice communities, and from there to here, anything can happen. We're talking about derailments, we're talking about leaks, we're talking about explosions, and that's the problem.
A train carrying crude oil derailing in the middle of the night, erupting into flames, igniting homes, forcing hundreds to evacuate.
It appears that near the explosion site, a bar was packed with people. No word on whether those people are alive.
Investigators this morning are trying to figure out how a train carrying crude oil derailed and exploded in West Virginia.
We're on the scene of another rail accident this morning, this one near Lynchburg, Virginia.
A train derailment in rural eastern Montana spilled 35,000 gallons of crude oil and forced the evacuation.
The accident sent massive fireballs into the air yesterday.
This freight train was carrying crude oil when it derailed yesterday.
This is a small town right next to my college, and this stream, it actually leads into the Lehigh, which leads into the Delaware, and thousands of people use the Delaware River as a water source. Right next to this creek is a oil train route. This is a prime example of what is happening, not just here, but in so many different places in Pennsylvania. Where I used to live, 99% of the residents there are in danger of an oil train disaster. And no one knows anything. I try to explain to different communities what an oil train is. The first question is almost always the same. Are we talking about trains running on oil, or are we talking about trains carrying oil? And if that's where we have to start with everybody, even the ones at the most risk, that's where we have to start.